and only until April 30th. And then we will close this email on May 1st, and then Mike and myself will discuss who we appoint to be a research fellow or research center and so on. Okay, this is where I am from. So I'm from the center of Europe, and Mike is Cleveland is somewhere here. I think he has the chance to give you a better idea. And
yeah,
when we look
exactly
at
right.
when we look at Europe, I'm from a small city. It's Homburg. So this is a small city close to the French border, about 1 hour drive from Frankfurt. So what is the idea of a WFNS research committee is we want to involve a couple of research centers and then have a vivid activity exchange between new researchers, so students or residents or even board-certified neurosurgeons who are starting the research career and active researchers who are guiding them. And at the end of this, I think, of this 2 years period, we have the committee here until the next WFNS meeting. It would be nice if we have some abstracts from our committee and also may have the opportunity to publish this in WFNS journal. So this is the purpose of the research committee, is to establish a worldwide network for researchers guided by the WFNS. And well, this is the organigram to show you what the structures could be like. Yeah, I'm the chairman, and the co-chairman is Mike Steinmetz. We want to involve committee members, like 2 per continent, so a total of minimum 10, maybe 12, 14 committee members. Ideally from 2 different countries, so ideally not 2 per continent from the same country. And ideally these members of the committee should be in an academic setting, so to be a member of the committee is not the ideal starting point for a research career when you're just a student or a resident. I think I personally prefer a professor position at the university, but it's also not exclusive. So it might be possible if you want to, and you're to become a member and you're very active in research, and you're not appointed to a university. It might still be possible to apply to become committee member. And also, what is important for WFNS, since WFNS is the priority to bring neurosurgical standards equally all over the world, that we have a balance between low and high income countries. Again, you see in all my slides this email address. Just send and apply your things from there. Good. So this is the idea. So we have North America, South America, Africa, Europe, and Australasia, and we want to exchange our research ideas. Probably it will be about webinars. We will have the goal to meet in the next WFNS meeting, but probably really the committee will live from exchange to webinars, and all this should be included in the WFNS research committee. So what are the ideas? Well, we can include research facilities, so a list of facilities with senior researchers. They should offer, so I think that these senior researchers should offer a research rotation. They don't have to, give a grant or to finance it. This is not the idea. It's rather that they should offer part of their time or of colleagues' time within the research facility to guide interesting researchers for starting their research career. And ideally, of course, there's some funding, so maybe that you can get some support for housing, or you can get support for your daily expenses. Then, after establishing a number of research facilities, ideally all over the world and of each different continent, We want to develop a list of research experts within with various areas of expertise. So they should instruct the junior researchers, not too many, so a maximum of 3 junior researchers per person. So these research experts, they don't have to belong to one of these research facilities. Why? Because I think if you are in a remote area, difficult to reach, you should still have a chance to be included in our research committee activities. And then, of course, we focus on junior researchers, so those who want to start their career. They should apply through this email, as well as the research experts which are interested, as well as the research facilities, which might be might offer good opportunity for researchers. All these should apply to our email address. And ideally, we want to guide junior researchers through the conception of a study, data acquisition, and publication at the end. So there's no guarantee that every applicant is selected. So the selection process is highly individual. So we will answer your application, but we might not really be able to accept all different applications, because I think I expect many more applications than positions we have. So there are highly individual criteria which might be difficult to understand for everybody. But at the end, I think it's just we have to select, and then it's up to us, and we will put those who are not selected and who we think are good candidates on a waiting list for the next period. So activities, endorsement of research projects. You can ideally apply with an idea of a research project, and it should be through this email with the WFNS committee. And then we have the idea that we monitor the ongoing research project with providing guidance and support. Ideally, if we can also develop surveys. I'm not particularly a friend of surveys. There's so many now, and I think the overall quality of these surveys is very poor to poor. However, there might be some, important research interests you might easily cover with surveys. So I think it's a good idea. If you have a survey which might be interested, just apply through this email, and we will support the person who's interested with the recruiting, writing, and data analysis if this survey is selected. Then activities organizing research events. I think we will try to have some events, and will be difficult to have the whole committee together, but I think we would try to have a research event, maybe one in North America in the next 2 years, one in Europe, and then maybe one in all different continents, where we should discuss the conception, the data acquisition, the evaluation, analysis of the study, and then at the end, the publication. Final activities, also from a different perspective, is to provide research training and development. So I think this will be probably mainly through the opportunity to visit one of the research centers. For some, it might also be an online guiding process by individual researchers, as I mentioned. Also apply for this, so this email. And then at the end, also, which is an integral part of what we have, we will have to show the results of our research activities. And I think it's ideal that Anil just took over the WFNS journal. And I think we will try to have such a high quality results, and hopefully with some support of the editor, that we can at least publish some abstracts of the WFNS meetings, or one or the other paper at the end from our research committee within the WFNS journal. So this is our today WFNS Research Committee founding webinar. and I hand over to my co-chairman to give his remarks. Mike, it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you. I'm honored to be part of this. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor, and it's exciting that it's coming together. And I look forward to working with the group and trying to really advance research in neurosurgery worldwide through this organization. I had a couple of thoughts that I wanted just to run by the group, I guess, when I'm thinking through the purpose of this organization and opportunities. I think we've got a unique opportunity as a worldwide approach, perhaps, to look at, really trying to identify maybe research or knowledge gaps throughout the country, and then, identify key stakeholders that maybe can help fill that in. So I think it could be a unique opportunity for us to not have such a small view on our areas of research, but a broader view in trying to understand where these gaps exist. And we probably have experts within there to help fill that. And I wonder if that's something we could perhaps do with one of our webinars, is really just trying to understand where we are lacking key areas of research, and can we, as this research committee, work together to help fill some of those in. The other thing I was thinking, that as you're bringing this up, especially when we look at different parts of the country, is there's often specific needs within areas of research, like, for example, easy as statistics, right? And statistics can be expensive depending on where you're at. Could we also provide more functional services for junior people that are providing research? So say they need to have help with an area, and I'll just throw out statistics, perhaps we have expertise within this research committee that can help provide some of those. And especially if it's a low-income country, we can do it free of charge, as an example. I think the mentoring part of this can be phenomenal when you think about a junior researcher who's just getting out into research. They often have local mentors, but to think about a worldwide mentor, I think it can go a long way. And then the idea of publication within the journal, I think, is fantastic. And what I would say, Joachim, if we could do this, is like, if you become part of this process, if there's an application put through, it's supported by WFNS Research Committee, then it's just we should say it's expected that this will, if it's submitted for publication, this is the journal it will be expected to go into. I don't think there's anything wrong saying that, right? And so again, I'm honored to be part of it. I like the process you laid out. I think there's some things we can really do to help neurosurgery worldwide here, and I think not just helping researchers become better researchers, but also really helping answer some important questions. So I'll leave it at that, but I'm really excited to be part of it.
Good, wonderful. Thank you so much, and I agree with you. Maybe I was not strong enough with this statement. Of course, it's ideally when we have a WFNS research committee that we try to publish in the WFNS journal. I agree with you. So our next speaker is Nathan Monfoy. He is half American, half French, and he actually is studying his medical school time. He's spending most of his medical school time in Germany, and he is a very active research student. So I hope, Nathan, you should take over and give us your ideas how to involve students in the WFNS research committee.
Thank you very much, Professor Oertel. I'm just trying to figure, I prepared a presentation. I'm trying to get it, if you can give me control, I can share the presentation with the group.
Is it on me? I have no idea.
Yes, I think you have to allow us to open files then.
Okay. I don't think so. Really?
Well, if not, it's okay. I can do without a presentation. That's not a problem.
No,
better. We want to see you as well.
No, you want to share.
You can just share. You should just share. I think it's possible.
Okay.
Nathan, we talked to Jörg Siefert, our technician. It's possible for everyone to present something.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, yes.
You see it?
Can you see?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
And now you just make presentation mode. Yeah, perfect. Wonderful. Thank you, Nathan.
Perfect. So thank you very much for including me in this committee. As Professor Oertel explained, so my name is Nathan Manfroy. I'm a French and American citizen from the Champagne region. I originally started studying medicine in France in 2016, and after 2 years I decided to come to Germany to continue medical school. One of the big reasons for that was the opportunity for research. In France, that is very limited. You can only do a few months. In Germany, students are most of the time encouraged to pursue research opportunities, to even continue with or start a doctoral thesis while they are students. I've been now with the research team of the neurosurgery department in Hamburg since 2021, April 2021, and I've had the chance to work on several different projects. My main focus of research is glioblastoma multiforme with different experimental, statistical, and clinical projects, but I've also been included on other projects with neuroendoscopic procedures or pediatric neurosurgery. I think a very important way, well, we have to find a very smart way to include students in research and how to get them started in research. And I think the first element we need to do this is to consider a broad approach to neurosurgery and not just focus on the research aspect of it, but on neurosurgery as a whole. That means showing everyday life of clinic to students, also scientific research, but also what's academia and teaching. It's also very important to include students. Here I put a picture of one of our courses, our neuroendoscopic courses in Hamburg. Every doctoral student in this department is always pushed to participate in all of these courses and workshops that are planned for residents and for attendings. And we have always the opportunity to help out with the workshops and also develop our own skills as future surgeons or as future neurosurgeons. So that's a very important thing. Don't just focus, I think you should not just focus on getting medical students interested in research, but interested in the subject as a whole. Because neurosurgery, as everybody here knows, is a very complex and a very vast subject. And if students want to be passionate about any research subject that they start, any research project, they have to have also a much better understanding of it than just what a thesis advisor would tell them or what a research advisor would tell them about. We should try to foster an interest in neurosurgery as a whole for students. The question is then, if we're able to start a program or programs for students in neurosurgical research, we have to be able to make them last long term. And that goes through a lot of structure. One of the chances that we have in the neurosurgery department in Hamburg is that we have a very structured program for doctoral students. We get lectures and seminars on a weekly basis, almost explaining different steps of research, explaining scientific method. We have some courses given by the doctors for statistics, so we get a general understanding of science, and we're not just expected to be little monkeys doing the work that was given to us. We're actually understanding and do our own research, helped by doctors and by research leaders. This then, to go back to the idea of not just focusing on research, but you can also create workshops for students that help them understand more what neurosurgery is, which some universities do this, but not all medical schools offer this. If you have workshops that help students understand how does an endoscope work, for example, even things as basic as suturing, these are all small techniques that are necessary to be able to get a global understanding of the subject of neurosurgery. One last element that is also very important, but that was also mentioned by Professor Oertel and by Dr. Steinmetz, is recognition for students. I know personally several students for whom this has been an issue, not just in Germany, but worldwide also. There's a lack of recognition for work done a lot of time by students. This means on one hand, it's everything concerning publication, case reports, students that are not given authorship or not even named on papers, on publications that they contributed it to. And of course, financial support. That is a very important thing for students to be able to encourage them also in the field of research. It doesn't mean giving astronomical amounts of money for students to do research, but a small stipend can go a long way to encourage students to come to research, rather, especially if we have students that have to take out very big student loans, which is the case in a lot of countries, and who then have to work to support themselves. If we're able to give them the opportunity of earning money through academic research, that can be a very important stepping stone to get them integrated long-term into research and into research teams. So in conclusion, what we want to get students started early. How can we do that? By fostering a general interest in neurosurgery as a whole, so all aspects of neurosurgery, so that students can then be more self-aware of the research project and do it wholeheartedly and passionately. And why do we want to do this? So we can create a lasting and durable relationship, first of all, between research teams and future medical students, but also a enduring and lasting relationship between medical students and academia and research. Thank you very much.
I think your comment on giving credit to the student is critically important. I will just say from my experience, we in our lab, when we have a medical student working with us, we always let that student be the first author on a paper that's written, as long as they contributed, to that extent, and then we allow them to present at any meeting it's accepted to. And it's really dramatically increased the student involvement in our laboratory. So I just think that comment is incredibly valid when it comes to medical students.
Thank you very much, Jess. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Or?
Let me see. There's no questions from the chat, so I think we just continue with the next presentation. The next presentation.
I'm also here logged on through Nathan, Professor Ertel, just so you know.
Is Dr. De Giannis. So he's a resident in our department. He is originally from Greece, but he was raised in South Africa. And I think he did the first 1 or 2 years of his medical career in Austria. Is that right, Jason?
First, yeah, exactly. Correct.
First, yeah. So he's also, I tried to pick some international fellows for this meeting. And Jason will us give his perspective about how to, what the perspective of a neurosurgical resident should be to start a research career.
Perfect. Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. My name is Jason De Giannis, and I'll be speaking on the topic neurosurgical research as a neurosurgical resident, opportunities and challenges. Firstly, a bit about myself. As Professor Ertel already said, I was born and raised in South Africa, but through my blood runs Greek blood. I'm a third-year neurosurgical resident at the University Hospital of Saarland. And yeah, today the topic will be research. So what does that mean for a resident, at least from my side as someone who's studying in Germany or working in Germany? First of all is your Dr. Med, your so-called promotion, any sort of additional research, being papers, being articles, congresses and book chapters. All of these obviously playing a very vital role to the experience of a young neurosurgeon and his or her ability to progress in the field when it comes to research. So first of all, why is neurosurgical research important as a resident? As doctors, we are dedicated to the service of our patients. And through research, we are able to make advancements in our practice, which leads, at the end of the day, to improve patient outcome. Therefore, a culture of research is needed to be inspired to younger doctors from the beginning of their training, so that as they specialize, they not only become practically better doctors, but also contribute to the science itself. The more these junior doctors are involved with research, the more excited they get, the more they read other people's research, and through reading other papers, they adapt and also understand the construct of a paper and how exactly one should formulate a research topic. Exactly. So, as I'd like to say, we are scientists. As doctors, we are scientists. I can only speak right now about our university hospital, but as being part of a university hospital, we also are obliged to create research, to sit down and research and try and strive for bettering the science. It's very difficult to force every doctor, at least from my experience, to do research because it's very dependent on what your goals are. Some people are happy to move to peripheries and to smaller clinics, want to become, let's say, doctors who aren't very research bound. But on the other hand, there are many who would like to also at the end of the day, do their PhD, do their professorship, so on and so forth. I like this little quote here by Oscar Wilde: "The answers are all out there, we just need to ask the right questions." And I believe that sums up research very well, because no one really knows when the next big breakthrough will be, or when the next treatment option will be available. One has to go out on a limb, try their best, keep their morals throughout the research process clean, and try to come up to an outcome that could be positive, or an outcome that also could, at the end of the day, be statistically also insignificant. A statistically insignificant result is a result nonetheless. Okay, something I speak to the younger residents about is, and what I've seen is, we don't know where to start very often. And as doctors, I feel there's an immense amount of pressure to be a neurosurgeon and not understand, oh, okay, where should I start doing my research? And it's all right. When you're first, second, third, fourth year, it's difficult. This is something that takes, as professors know, many, many years to get accustomed to and be able to build an actual career of research. So what I did is I did a so-called SWOT analysis. This is essentially a business strategy where we look at a general construct and then we try to identify certain qualities of it, being their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Exactly. So we'll start with strengths. What is done well? What is a unique resource we can draw on? What do others see as our strengths? Weaknesses. What can we improve? Where do we have fewer resources than others? What are others likely to see as weaknesses? Opportunities. What opportunities are open to us? What trends could we take advantage of? How can we turn our strengths into opportunities? And threats. What threats could harm us? What is the competition doing? What threats do our weaknesses expose us to? So I have now done a SWOT analysis corresponding with our university clinic, and I tried to just make a brief summary, and I felt that kind of talks about the problems as a young researcher. So strengths. Okay, strengths of our clinic. We have continuous encouragement to do research. It's something that Professor Ertel is also very, very strict about. He wants that the younger residents sit down and try to do research and learn so that they can progress. We have also ideally research blocks which are made that we sit down and do research during our training. They normally span 6 months to 1 year, and this time we have time to sit down, look at our projects, speak to our mentors. Exactly. Senior members of the staff are responsible for encouragement towards research, so the availability of mentors is very important, and by us is something that we are able to utilize. The presence of enthusiastic medical students being available to participate in projects, as Nathan already said, it's a very important part, and without our students, the workload increases drastically. Research and teaching staff knowledge and experience prepared to transfer the knowledge. This means that when you have a mentor, it's not just that someone who has done their PD, PhD, or professorship, but it's also are willing to sit down and guide the young assistant in the correct way. For us, we are lucky that we have a lab which provides us ample opportunity to learn to work with tissue, and we are also a tumor center, so we also have many variable tumors which we can sit down and also learn to work with, let's say, the different tools. Presence of Department of Experimental Surgery by us is also an advantage, as if someone does have a very good idea, which is neurosurgical, but not exactly what we would normally do. We do have the availability of the experimental surgery, which is just down the hill. We have excellent national and international unit reputation, and this facilitates, obviously, cooperation with scientific institutions and scientific societies that, for us as residents, obviously works as a plus. We have ample opportunity to take part in congresses and an internal system that if you have good ideas, you can actually apply for grants also. Then we will go to the next part, which is the weaknesses. So as a registrar or as a assistant, we have heavy clinical and administrative load. We have a lot of work to do throughout the day, and this can be discouraging for many young residents. There's a large amount of time dedicated to studying to improve clinical effectiveness and passing of examinations, and this again can get in the way of sitting down and prioritizing research. In certain cases, also, there's limited possibilities in modernization of research infrastructure, meaning there's always new software, there's always new gadgets which are being used, and obviously one cannot sit down and research everything when a certain amount of equipment is not available. Opportunities. Interest of more foreign research centers establishing cooperation in the unit, provision of external financing, and use of external resources to create conditions to attract foreign research fellows, all very important for us as a unit. And then lastly, I speak about is threats. So threats, we have strong international publications and reputable journals to compete with. This in turn obviously means that we have to be creating research or publishing research of high quality, and at the beginning of the career it's not very easy. It's something which, as I said earlier, a young resident needs to learn throughout time. Moving of researchers to other institutions before completing the research project, as a research project has been started and then they go to another uni clinic or another clinic, or let's say participants or students who were involved in the research leave, then this makes it very difficult. And lastly, for the threats that I would want to mention, which I believe is also a very relevant point, especially for students who are looking to do their Dr. Med and so on, is temptation of publication in predatory journals. This is obviously a temptation due to the fact that you can publish your work, but due to the fact that these journals aren't actually reputable, it takes away a lot of the relevance of one's work. On one side, the work could be very good, but it was not accepted from the journal, but it also could be that the work itself is suboptimal and one just publishes so that, I could say, from an ego point of view, they publish something and to have something published. And that's through the SWOT scheme, what I would believe the challenges and opportunities are for a young resident. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. DeGiannis. There's no question in the chat that I can say. I like the approach of your analysis. The thing is, you have to be honest with you when you use this analysis. So it's not that easy. I mean, particularly, you have to also analyze your personal structure and situation. And I think I will get back to this in the conclusion later. This is one of the biggest challenges, I think. Also, the idea of, publishing high quality, high impact, or, just another survey. It's difficult. And it depends on your personal situation, how much time you have, what is your expectation and what is the setting in which you work at.
Yeah. Could I ask you a quick question? And hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot for asking it like this way, but just out of curiosity, there's a lot of organizations out there, many of them with research committees. What would be one or two of the reasons as a registrar or resident that you would join WFNS research committee versus one other one? Like what could this committee do that would really make it stand out amongst everything else that's out there.
I think what's most important essentially is good mentorship, is the availability of someone to speak to who actually knows what's, I want to say in italics, what's going on. Because I don't believe that many residents have the problem that they want to get into research, but a lot of residents, and I've seen this from the more junior residents and some of the more senior residents in our hospital, is the not knowing where to start, and once they've started, in what direction they're going in. And I believe that if this committee can actually offer, let's say, the residents proper mentorship, I think it would go a long way. That's my personal opinion.
That makes sense.
Okay, thank you, Dr. DeGuinness. I think we move on now. The next speaker is Professor Nanda on the well, he is the editor of the WFNS journal, and also I think WANS vice president. So a lot of academic expertise, and well, let's listen to his thoughts and ideas. Anil, where are you? He was there a minute ago. I just saw him.
I did too. His slides were there. He had him up. I don't see him on the meeting right now either. I wonder if he got knocked off. Yeah, even his name is not on the.
No,
oh, maybe I don't have everybody up here. Maybe not. Yeah, I don't see his name even on the. It's like he's dropped off the meeting.
He left the chat a second ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we move on and.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is. Anil, I just introduced you. You're mute.
I got bumped off. I don't know what happened. Let me see if I can share my thing now. 1 second.
Thank you so much for coming back.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to. I can't get my talk on. I don't know why I'm having trouble.
No, we saw your slides and then you were gone.
Yeah. Let me. I can't find it. Maybe it's here. I don't use Teams. That's part of the problem. I'm having an issue with that. Yeah. Normally, it'll show you your screen. I don't know if I can share.
Dr. Sharif, just stay mute, okay? Don't say anything. He's making fun of us, because you just don't find your slides. Look at him.
So, Neil, you don't see the share button, or you don't see your screen?
I see it, but when I ask share, it says go to security and give permission to share. Like, I've never had this issue with Teams. I don't use Teams. That's part
But we saw your slides.
Yeah, I know.
You got knocked off. We saw your slides.
So sorry about it. Do you want to go with the next person? I'll try and figure this out in a minute. Yeah.
Well, you're the last. Okay. Okay. Just we can proceed. It's rather, but maybe you can figure it out.
Yeah, let me try and figure it out. 1 minute. Yeah.
So let me, maybe I share my screen now. So because I want to add some.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay,
yeah,
then just I'll leave again.
1 second.
You have it?
I don't know if it's showing. This is what it says, but I don't know why it's not coming on.
The button in my version is right next to exit. Left to exit, it says share.
Yeah, it does. But for some reason, I'm not getting onto my screen. That's the problem. Yeah. So Teams comes on. Why don't you go to the next one? I hate to delay everybody. Sorry.
When you do share, then there's screen, and then the different windows. And you have to go for the windows and select your presentation. Is your presentation open?
Yeah, my presentation's open. Yeah. Oh, I did.
Now you're twice with us. Okay.
Yeah, that's wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Let's.
Should
As soon as you. Do you need your presentation, or we can just listen to your thoughts? What do you think about that?
Put a presentation together. Why don't you go with the next person? If I can get it, great. If not, we'll figure something. I can extemporate. Don't worry.
Okay. So then I go back to my slides. So this is rather the summary of our next activities. I like the idea of the. I will not do the presentation mode because then I cannot write anything. So I like the idea about including medical students. It will be difficult to identify medical students. I think the most difficult thing for the research committee is, since we don't know these people, for a long time, to select those who are good candidates. So they have to be able to work on their own. To some degree, because you cannot have the same guidance as you have when you're next door to your mentor, and they have to be honest with themselves. And this is a problem, particularly in many situations we face every day, that they think, the amount of work you have to invest is different, and different expectations. But nevertheless, I think, Mike, you will agree that we encourage medical students to apply. Is that right? Or, I mean, we have to see what we can get out of it on this online guidance mode. What is your idea?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be a nice avenue for medical students to be involved with a larger research committee. They certainly could lend a lot of help to probably projects that are out there, but also, they could really help, or they could really benefit from some guidance that we could give as well, mentorship, et cetera. So yeah, I think we would. I agree with you. It's going to be hard to know, who to choose, how many to choose. I mean, we would even have a hard time understanding if someone's truly a medical student or not, depending on where they're from. So, but I would say we open it up for medical students. Let's do our best, and we can just sort of see how many applications we get. If it's overwhelming, we may have to reconsider it, but I think we start with it and try to bring them in.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is, in my opinion, we have only, a 2 years period. Then is the next election period, and, most of us will leave the committee. So I think it's a very focused activity. So that's good for medical students. They will not stay, 4 or 5 years without guidance. The other idea is that's what I put here in the slide, person analysis. I think they have to be honest with themselves if they are willing to invest this time. And then I think they should just apply through this email, and then we will get back to them in the, beginning of May, and, select a couple who we try to endorse to be supported by the committee.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So Anil, you want me to continue, or you're back in business? Not yet back in business. So I go with the next. So including medical residents. In my opinion, the medical resident is the ideal person you should try to convince to go into research. Oh, now he's back. Okay, let's stop here. And Anil, it's all yours. Go ahead. You just have to unmute yourself.
This is the wrong presentation, so I'm sorry again. I'm trying to get my presentation and it won't come on.
So that's the wrong one. Okay.
I apologize. I don't know why I'm having all these issues, but I can extemporate. I mean, don't worry about it. This is not. I don't know why it won't come.
You want to look for the other presentation or not?
Yeah. Why don't you keep going? I'll try one more time. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So we switch back to my slides. There it is. Medical residents. I think this is the primary goal of any research activity. So it's also part of this committee not only to focus on centers and maybe on experienced researchers, but also to include medical residents. And I like actually the analysis Jason gave us, because all the residents, they have to think about their options and their opportunities. So, you know, it will be difficult to be high quality, to offer high quality research results when you not have the chance to stay in a lab and, you know, gain this experience. So you have to look for your own strengths and your own possibilities. But in my opinion, I strongly encourage medical residents to apply, particularly if they're in the beginning of their career. If they're in the end of the career, it might also be a good option, because we only have these 2 years for now. But it will be probably more difficult, because then they are more and more involved in the daily activities of a clinical routine. Mike, you want to add something?
Yeah, no, I think that may be the ideal person. I think they have a lot of drive. And they have a lot of interest, and I think they can really help take some of these ideas forward and bring in new, fresh ideas as well. And so, yeah, I'm with you 100% here. I think we've got to, in all years of, you know, engagement, I think later on it's good, because they're going to go out and be join a faculty and probably need even different mentorship at that time, versus early on, we're just helping with project design and guidance and mentorship. So I strongly agree here.
Good. And any news, Dr. Nanda?
We can try. We can try one. Otherwise, I'll extemporate.
Okay.
One last shot. If it doesn't work, then
go ahead.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
No, it's the wrong talk that keeps coming up. Let me. You know, why don't I just extemporate? Yeah, you know, just start. How do I? Can you just take the share away? Yeah. I had nice slides, and like, for some reason they're not coming on. Don't worry. So you can just cut the share off. I don't need this. Yeah. This was the talk that I gave in South Africa, and edited it, put some other stuff in. So, you know, again, it's an honor and privilege to be with all of you. We are really excited about the new journal, and congratulations to the research committee. I think this is a great move forward, great leadership. So I feel very fortunate. You know, I think research, all of us are really, really focused on that. That's something that's really important. And I think it's really exciting to see young people involved. I think to have medical students and residents, that's the pipeline that's going to make things happen. I think there was an old Turkish saying that a man of 70 should plant olive trees, because he'll never see the olives, you know, and that's how we need to think of research, that we plant these olive trees, and that the residents and the, you know, young attendings and students can benefit from the infrastructure we put in place. And I think that's one of the exciting parts about having the journal. So just to give you a little feedback on the journal, I was appointed in November, and I was very honored and privileged to do that. We have tried to be not Eurocentric or Americocentric. You know, we feel this is the voice of 40,000 neurosurgeons worldwide, and we want to empower everybody so that a sub-Saharan resident has the same, you know, thirst and curiosity that somebody at the Mass General at Harvard or somebody at Heidelberg, you know. So we want to level the field and make it a truly flat world for research. Just to give you a background, the Journal of Neurosurgery, Michael Davon's paper on global trauma, and some of those, this is some of the highest cited papers now. So I think the world has changed. You know, it's not brainstem cavanomas that are having the highest citation. It's global research that's having the highest citation. And I think Salman had a very good WFNS meeting in Pakistan with a great turnout. And I think we need to empower that, maybe have proceedings of these meetings, have these talks in. But just from a research point of view, we want to make this a vehicle. So just to give you a little bit about the journal, what we've done in the last 3 months is we've appointed 5 continental editors. We felt it'd be important to involve each can. So we have the Italian neurosurgeon Guerra, who's going to be the Italian editor, European editor. Ying Mao is going to be the Asian editor from Shanghai. Tayu Shukumbi is going to be the African editor from Nigeria. Andreas Rubiano is going to be the editor from South America. And Mo Biden is going to be the editor from North America. So we have 5 continental editors. We've got really talented people for each section editor. We have Shelley Timmons going to take care of trauma. Peter Nakaji is going to be in for technique. Then we have a trauma person. So we've got I think, appointed 56 people from 30 countries to make it truly a global board. We have almost 20% women, so we've looked into diversity as well in terms of gender representation. And we've appointed a medical student, and I think if any of your students are interested or your residents are interested, we would love for them to be involved. Now, the world is going open access. That's just the harsh truth of the matter. And this will be open access and it'll have a very favorable rate for low-middle income countries. And we want to make sure there's a good nidus as this as a vehicle. It's always people, I had a slide of Tina Turner saying we don't need another hero, and it was like we don't need another journal, because I think people are saying, well, do we really do? And I think this journal is very different. It's a global journal with global roots to make sure everybody's empowered and everybody gets together for what we want. We've made the process very easy. You can go to the website, just make sure your stuff is complete. And, I think I tell my residents historically that you can write on anything. I have a slide on a paper that analyzed all the deaths in Shakespeare's plays and how all the deaths occurred, okay? Stabbing deaths, impalement, decapitation, you name it. Now, you might say this is not really research, but I think it's fascinating. And I always tell people, if you don't have resources, talk about the history of neurosurgery in Zimbabwe. You can always write a historical paper. You can write about the Shona warfare and the Boer War and what injuries occurred. So I think to have that interest is very important. And you don't need $1 million lab. You don't need cell cultures. You can look at databases. We can help you with that. We can mentor you on that. Our goal is to have global databases. And the truth of the matter, the research is going global. I told you the most cited paper now was on global neurosurgery. So that's the future. That's what we're excited about. And again, I want to stress, we plant olive trees when we get older so that we don't see the fruits. Our goal is for the younger generation to be empowered and to do great things. I want to address one thing, because when we put the editorial board together, there was a lot of turmoil about what are we going to do with all the troubles of the WFNS. And I was very emphatic on this. Yeats has a great line when he says, out of our quarrels with others comes rhetoric. Out of our quarrels with ourselves comes poetry. And I think a lot of this discord is poetry. It'll go away. We are above the fray. We want to make sure that organizations stay strong and sticks to our focus, which is to make sure we have good science that everybody gets involved with. And the last thing I'll say is, Michelangelo, when he was dying at 83, his last words are supposed to be Ancaro imparo, and still I learn. And that's for all of us, Joachim, Michael, Mehmet, Salman, we still need to learn, okay? The day we feel we are satiated and we know everything is the day of our downfall. So I think there's a really, Keats was a great English poet, and he talked a man of uncertainty. And I think we all should have a level of uncertainty rather than having this toxic doubtlessness where my way is the only way and the holy way and every other way is wrong. So I think this toxic doubtlessness, this certitude of what we do needs to be questioned. And I use this all the time for the residents and thing. A subdural drain for a subdural is the most boring thing you can think of, okay? It ain't a basilar to aneurysm. It ain't a C1 to S1 fusion. It's a boring thing. And yet some resident in England wrote that up, and then did a survey, and that was published in Lancet. And Lancet is one of the highest impact journals. And the Lancet editorial was that you should put a drain in a chronic subdural. So sometimes it's the simplicity of what we do that can make an enormous difference. And that's what we should inspire our residents and our med students and our young attendings to think differently and to question all of us with gray hair. I think if you have gray hair, you should be questioned, and you should be questioned mercilessly. And I think that's the only way science progresses. So thank you for having me. I apologize about the snafu of my slides. I got to figure out how to do Teams. I'm better at Zoom, but I'm a Luddite, and there's still hope for me.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
open to questions. I'm open to questions.
Any questions?
So, hey, Anil, so is the journal going to be solely open access?
Yes. And we've
What
already
is the
got our
publication
publications
fee
in.
going to be like? Because this might be an issue if we have something from the research committee. You have any idea? Is there any, and at the end, I mean, through a selection process, any waiver or anything possible?
Yes, it is. For low middle income countries, sub-Saharan Africa, it's practically free.
Okay, that's good. Good to know.
No, we have very protective mechanisms in place, and we're not charging $5,000. I think it's $1,200 or $1,800 per paper. So that's something Eurocentric and Americocentric, and we've already got publications coming in. So we're kind of excited. You know, I think the work has begun. It took a while to get a truly good team together, which we have now. So we're excited. And again, I apologize. I couldn't get my slides on.
No problem. So, any other questions? I will just go back to share my slides. It's only 2 or 3 left. So now for all the participants in the online meeting, there were quite some names I'm not aware of. So if you have to, apply if you want to, promote your research project through this email now until April 30th. If you want to do any surveys, I'm not a particular fan of surveys, but as we have heard about the subdural, sometimes surveys might be interesting. You apply through this email. If you want to be, organize research events, just apply through this email. And then also, if you just want to provide the research training and development in your center, apply through this email. Also, if you want to become a committee member or as a medical student, a resident, whatever, you can apply. But as I told you, it's a highly selective process. This is the email, and on May 1st, we will close the email, so don't apply later. So then some remarks for us, and Mike, we can discuss it now. I think this is like a timeline, I think is reasonable. We will close the email on May 1st, and then I think we have 2 weeks. It will be not too difficult to select people for us for the committee. And so in late May, why do I put it a little bit later? Because I'm sure that there will, a couple of spots will still be blank. And then we have to decide who we select to as a supportive member. And then the next meeting, next webinar with, the almost complete committee should be in June. And also a first draft activity list based on, what the applicants said and what we plan. And as Salman suggested, and Anil as well, shall we do it on Zoom? Salman, what is your opinion? Obviously, you want to do that we do it on Zoom, right?
Yeah, I think wonderful. I think brilliant talks for everybody, and a great motivation. I wish that more young guys could have joined, but the problem with Team is you have to download it first, and then you have to use it. And if you're not used to using it, it's a problem. Zoom is much simpler. Everybody's been using it, especially people in lower middle income countries, sub-Saharan Africa. Everybody's used to using it there. So I think we could have more and more people from areas where we need to focus more. The challenges are much more in those areas where there are LMICs, and I think their opportunities are very low. And so maybe we need to have a couple of more people from that area who can then motivate, stimulate young people from there who could get in. The other thing I wanted to say was medical students are great, but when we are doing it from far away, then it's going to be a problem with medical students. Unless you know the medical student that they have time, somebody applying, usually we have seen they would do half the work and then they disappear. They have exams, they have other things, whereas residents are under the control of a consultant. So it is possible to do research with them, so you've got a local consultant and they can supervise. And maybe what you could do is you could get the resident to collaborate with a medical student, and they both can work together from that local area, wherever they're coming from. And we should try to...
That's an important point. I mean, it will be very difficult if we don't know them in person, you don't see them, to guide somebody who has no experience with research. I agree with you, but it's just we don't want to exclude them.
I think you're right. I totally agree. What you're saying is right, but I think if you're doing it from a distance, then it is very, very difficult to know if they're going to be working with you by the time you get the research onto the publication stage. So I think that's important. You could start working even with less number of people, and then you can always add members on later on. It's not a problem, because I think core group is going to remain the same. People who are going to work will always be the same. So I think then Zoom, there's no doubt that Zoom is free everywhere. Everybody knows how to use it. We have been using it for the last 4 years since COVID. Everybody knows about it. So I think it's much easier. And if you need any help, Imad can help you with Zoom. It's not a problem at all. So yeah, agree.
Well, I think for Zoom, the thing is that Zoom is not accepted at all major universities, at least in Europe, and I think it's also in the US. I think because there's some I don't know, some security reasons. So I have not had a Zoom meeting for 3-4 years within Europe. But anyway, no problem. I mean, I'm happy to use Zoom for this opportunity. Okay, so the only thing I just wanted to ask, because I thought about it, Anil, would you be able to be like a cooperative member of the research committee? You don't have to be involved in everything, but I think we need some contact for us, since there might be some issues. We don't know about the schedule for the next WFNS conference and everything. So I think we should rather adhere to the WFNS journal than on the conference right now.
I'd be happy to do it.
I just put you in the CC and the email, and you don't have to be there every time. Don't worry.
Next time I want to give my talk, though. I had a nice presentation.
Okay. So then in June, you're on it, and it's gonna be Zoom.
That gives me 2 months to prepare for Teams. I'm gonna go back to my team and figure out from the IT what I did wrong. Once I was giving grand rounds on Teams, and it didn't work. I don't know which department it was. It was kind of embarrassing because they couldn't get it to work. Anyway, I just don't know. Normally on Zoom, you can go and share your screen. You open presentation, you put it in. And for some reason, this wasn't doing it for me. I don't know what I was doing wrong. It was pulling up old presentations, not the one that was opened out on my laptop. Yeah, but that's okay. Life goes on. There's some good in it. That's what I say.
Yeah, also, and one more remark about someone to add new members. I think it's a very short period of time and everything is new. We're just establishing a new committee. So I prefer rather be, low in members. Rather have only 10 and they all, participate actively than have too many ideas. It will be difficult at the end to get anything out of it. But maybe, Mike, you can comment on what are your ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of agree. A smaller committee is oftentimes more effective if you have participation versus just a giant committee where people are just sometimes doing nothing, that you just sitting, versus, you're right, too many ideas. So I guess we could just see how many people apply first, but you're right, maybe trying to keep it a little bit smaller at front just to make it more effective. And then look at it, you can look at after 2 years or so, expanding it even further once it's established, right, runs well, these sort of things. And I think that's what you're thinking, right? Joachim is like, just get it off the ground, smaller numbers, make it effective. Yeah, I agree with that.
Good. So everybody happy with our schedule? Then I thank everybody for participating, and we will be back in 2 months with a committee and a number of nice projects.
Thank you.
Sounds
for
good.
Thank you,
inviting me.
everybody.
Very nice
Thanks.
meeting. Thanks for putting this on.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Congratulations,
Bye-bye.
Joachim. Very, very nice initiative.
Hey, Mehmet, how are you?
Good.
Are you
Everything
good?
is fine. Yeah.
Did
very
the
well.
World Spinal Column did they contact you?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Are you
Okay.
able to help
Thank
us?
you. Yeah, yes.
We
I
need
will.
you. Okay. Thank you,
Good,
everybody.
good.
See you
Goodbye.
soon.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Very nice.
you.